Getting a grant to fund your project is a great idea, but you must research your opportunities and choose which grants you will apply for. Grant applications take time and resources, so you need to choose wisely. Pick grants that are well aligned with your organisation's values and goals to increase your chance of success. There are many websites that advertise grant listings. The Funding Centre offers a comprehensive list of grants available with a paid membership. There are government grants, including those from local councils, grants from charitable organisations or the private sector. There are also grants offered for specific events or purposes. If you need to fundamentally change your project to suit the grant application, it's probably the wrong program for you. To be successful in grant writing, you need to dedicate an appropriate amount of time and resources to the application. It is a valuable strategy to make grant applications a regular activity for your organisation, as having only one funding stream can leave your organisation open to risk if that funding is reviewed or withdrawn. If you're from a small, non-government agency, you may find it difficult to compete with larger organisations who may have dedicated grant writing teams. So try and focus on the local grants which may have less competition for funds. Ensure that you give yourself ample time to complete your application for a grant. Some applications can be complex and time-consuming and generally will not be considered if they are incomplete. When planning a timeline for a grant application, consider any approvals you may need to get from your manager or board and allow time for changes or additions. You may also need letters of support or references from other organisations, and you will need to allow time for these to be obtained and collated. You need to plan ahead when writing a grant application. Your organisation should have a full strategy in place for your project before you start and be able to state clearly who will benefit, what is going to happen, why it needs to happen, how and when it will occur, and how much money you require. Grant providers need to give their grants out, but there is also a lot of competition. They will usually ask for your objectives, outputs, and outcomes. However, if you have a clear strategy, you will be able to articulate it and make your application shine. All grant applications require different information. However, there is generally a crossover in some areas. For example, explaining what your organisation does, your past statistics, and contact details. This information can be saved into a grant application template where it is easily accessible. You can also use this information as a starting point and tailor it to the application each time. Some information may already be available in your existing documents, for example, in the annual report or marketing brochures. Using this technique will save you time and make your application seem more polished. To increase your chance of success, you must provide a clear picture of what your organisation does and the details of the project you wish to complete with the grant funds. The grant assessment team may not know your organisation, so you need to demonstrate what your strengths are, what work you already complete, and what you want to do in the future. You must also show that you have the capacity to complete the proposed project successfully and show that your organisation is the one best placed to address the challenge or need. Some grant applications will request information about the people who will be working on the project if you are successful. You must be able to identify key staff members, major stakeholders, and any partners in the project. Always use statistics if they are available. They provide context about what your organisation does or is aiming to do. Data can be available from within your own records, from the latest census, from local councils, or from peak bodies specific to your target group. Displaying statistics in a graphical presentation can make them easier to read and help you get your point across. Grant providers often require that you work with other organisations who support your grant application. A letter of support acts like a reference for your organisation, and it is a valuable tool which can increase the strength of your application. They are also a good way to show that you are able to work in partnerships. However, this takes additional time and should be factored into your application process timeline. A good way to leverage your grant application is to show how your proposed project links into existing regional, state, or national strategies. For example, if you are based in the Illawarra, you should consider regional plans and objectives to see if there are any synergies within your proposed project. You could also consider projects which fill a need within your local area. This could be something that has been highlighted in local media articles. Consider having someone from outside your grant project team proof the application. Ask them to consider if the material was concise but clear, if your statistics were easy to understand, did you give a clear picture of what the project hopes to achieve, and did you make a compelling argument? It's also a good idea to get someone with a finance background to check your budget figures. Feedback should be considered thoughtfully. If your application has missed a key point or isn't clear about your objectives, you will need to revise it. Ensure that you submit your application on time, following the formatting guide provided in the grant information. Some applications will require that you use their online template, while others may allow you to submit an email attachment. Try to avoid submitting the application on the last day. Most applications are generally received within the last 48 hours. However, this strategy doesn't allow time for any issues. For example, you could have technical failures, a sign-off is not received when expected, or there are problems with the grant provider's website. If you submit your application early, your application may be given more attention, and this only increases your chance of success. For a list of useful resources, please see the websites on the screen now. Community Industry Group run many training courses specifically designed for those who work in the community services sector. To keep up to date with our work, you can follow us on our social media channels or sign up for our fortnightly newsletter.